Hi, John with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and installing the Blue Ox base plate kit on our 2017 Chevrolet Sonic. Now this Blue Ox base plate kit is going to allow you to flat tow your Chevy Sonic down the road behind your RV. Now this is just the base plate kit, but it does include the removable arms on either side, and it's already going to be set up for you for safety cables, for a breakaway switch, and your tow bar wiring. Now this base plate kit is just one of 5 pieces that you need to safely flat tow down the road. Of course, the base plate is the physical connection on your Sonic. You're also going to need tow bar wiring. That's going to be the electric cord that runs from your RV back to your car, and it's going to transmit all the signals like your left turn, right turn from your RV to the Sonic to just let people know your intentions. You're also going to need a tow bar. Now that's going to be the link between your Sonic and your RV, and that's going to keep these things linked up. You're also going to need safety cables, and the safety cables are going to be there just in the event that something goes wrong. They're going to keep your car behind your RV. And fifth and final is you're going to need a supplemental braking system. This is going to keep you legal out there. It's also going to help your RV and your Sonic slow down in a nice controlled setting. Now I like the way that this base plate fits on the car. When you're done towing, I don't think it's too obtrusive. It kind of blends in with the black on here. Now, we also want to get some measurements though. And I'm going to go from the ground up to the center of the pin. It's about 12.5 inches. So these are important numbers to know, the 12.5 inches. Since the Sonic sits so low, you want to take the 12.5 inches on the Sonic and go to your RV, and you're going to measure the trailer hitch height on your RV. Whatever setting that is, say it's 20 inches, and this is 12.5 inches. That's going to let you know that you need an adapter, a drop hitch adapter, to keep your tow bar in a plane that's within 3 inches. To install this is not the easiest install. You do have to remove this front fascia. You're going to have to be doing some cutting and some drilling. And if you have a turbo model like this one is, there's some additional steps that you need to know. But we'll go step by step with you and show you what to do. Stick around. We've got our Sonic in the bay backed in. We're going to begin up here on the grill. We've got some push pin fasteners and some 10mm bolts that need to come out. So I've got a trim panel tool here. You can also use a flathead screwdriver just to remove these. The center's going to pop up first. Then you can come in and grab the bottoms just like that. There's going to be 1, 2, 3 of these on the driver and passenger side. Take out these 10mm bolts. Give me 3 on the passenger side and 3 on the driver's side. Okay, next we're going to be over here. We're going to be on the driver's side wheel well. There's going to be 4 T20 bolts that are tucked up inside of here. So to get in here with this tight space, I've just got a 1/4 inch driver and a T20 socket. Just go ahead and spin these out. You're going to have 3 like this, and there's 1 pointing straight up right here. Now keep in mind, everything that we're doing on this side of the car, for the rest of the video, we're going to be repeating that on the other side of the car. Turn our attention to the belly pan under here. That's the pan that's spanning under the engine. We have, again, a push pin fastener, excuse me, that needs to come out in the middle here. We're then going to have 2 13mm bolts. And then right here in the center, we're going to have, again, a T20 Torx. And then that'll leave us 2 T20 Torx bits. 1 on the passenger side, 1 on the driver's side. Okay, then we can go ahead and set the belly pan off to the side. We're going to come under here and it's going to expose 2 Phillip head screws. You got one on the passenger side and one on the driver's side. Next, we're going to come back to the driver's side of the car here, and we're going to be pulling the front fascia off. Now, we like to use painter's tape, and we'll just apply it on the top and the bottom here, and it's just going to protect the car, or help protect the car, from any scratches when we go and pull this piece off. So you want to go ahead and do this on both sides. Now, before we pull the fascia from the sides, this front grill part here, it has 2 tabs up here, and I found that it's easier to get the fascia off now that it's unscrewed up here. Just go ahead and lift up on that, and you'll see now that the front fascia in the front is going to be loose. Now we'll go ahead and pull, grab your fascia and pull out, and just take your time. It's going to be pulling this out. On our Sonic, we're going to have, this is going to be the back of the fog light here. Just go ahead and pull this gray clip back, and it'll probably come off. Let's see here. No, it doesn't have to come off. Just back it off and then press down on the brown, and that'll disconnect it. And then we have another harness down here that's going to have to come off. Or you just push down on the center tab and pull out. Now we'll go ahead and unhook the driver's side fog light, and we'll set this front fascia off to the side. We're going to take off the front fascia support here. It's being held on by 3 13mm bolts. Go ahead and zip these off here. It's 3 per side. Okay, we're going to go ahead and set the front fascia support off to the side. Now, this is a turbo model. If you have a non-turbo model, don't worry about this next part. But since this is a turbo model, we're going to be removing this air dam up in the front on the charge cooler here. Now, this air dam is going to have a total of 4 push pin connectors, 2 on this side and 2 on the other side. We're going to pull this off, and we're going to set it off to the side. This part, the air dam, actually is not going to go back on. And again, this is just for the turbo models that's going to have this charge cooler up here. We're going to need to cut this mount off. Now, this is all plastic here, and you want to be very careful about making this cut. It is hollow underneath, and that's great for us so that we can look and see what we're doing when we cut this, but you want to be careful. If you cut into your charge cooler, you're going to be buying a new charge cooler. So the first thing I'm going to do, just so we can, I'm going to use a cordless Dremel tool here. I'm going to cut the front face off of this just so we can watch how deep we're going. Now we've got a clear view under here of where the charge cooler is, where it starts and the mount ends. So just take your time when you're doing this, and we're going to be clearing all of this off the face of the charge cooler. Okay, now let's turn our attention to the actual front crash bumper here. On either side of the car, I measured from the corner here 1 inch, and then up. We're going to be taking a reciprocating saw, and we're going to cut this on either side. Now, again, you want to be careful of your charge cooler hoses and stuff like that when you're cutting. Now let's just go ahead and repeat that on the passenger side. We're going to go ahead and remove the horn. It's being held on by a 13 millimeter nut here. Now we don't have to disconnect it. We can just go ahead and let it hang. And I think, let's go ahead and get this wire loom out of the way. This one's fighting me. This way, we can just kind of slide this stuff back here, and it'll stay safely out of the way. Fit the base plate up here. We're just going to slide it on here and clamp it. I found the best way to get it on was kind of angle it up and around these intercooler hoses. Again, if you don't have a turbo, it's going to just go on there real easy. And then to clamp it up there, you can either use some welding clamps like this up here on the frame, or if you don't have those and you just have some vice grips, you can come down to the front, pick it up, and clamp it right here at this tab. While you're clamping this, you want to make sure that the base plate goes up as high as you can go. And then we're going to just check it for level and for center on the vehicle. We're going to drill this hole right here. The final drill size is going to be 13/32, and I just want to pass along a neat little trick here. Instead of using a center punch, this is a 13/32 drill. Go ahead and you start that in there, and if you look, you'll see you already have a center point. So I'll come back with a smaller drill bit to start this, and it'll be centered. I just wanted to pass along that trick. That's one of the neat tricks I've learned. Now you want to be careful when you're drilling about how deep you go. You do have a radiator on the other side of this. Okay, now we'll come back with a 13/32 and finish the hole. Now with our hole drilled on both sides, we're going to take the supplied handle nut, supplied hex bolt, and the supplied lock washer. Now, red Loctite is required, and this is not included in the kit, so you're going to want to pick some up. Just go ahead, get some on there. And as far as the handle nut, it's actually going to go in through the hole in the bumper right here. And I like to pre-bend these to about what we need. So I'll give it one bend like that and another bend like that. We'll go in the hole, and you'll be able to see it as it comes. You can go ahead and you can see, get the idea here that we're going to go ahead, make sure the Loctite's on. We'll go ahead and bolt this down. For right now, we're just going to snug it up. Go ahead and repeat this on the other side as well. Okay, so we have the one single hole drilled on both sides. Before we go and snug these up and torque them, we want to make sure that our base plate is level. Okay, we're looking good, so we're going to go ahead and torque these to the specs that is outlined in our installation manual. Go ahead and repeat that on the other side. Now, with the base plate tightened on both sides, we're going to go ahead, we're going to need to get some access to drill this hole. So we're going to take this support over here. It's going to be two 18 millimeter bolts and one 13 millimeter nut. We'll go ahead and set this off to the side. We will be reinstalling it. Now that we have full access here to drill, we're going to go ahead and just drill out the top 2 on this side and the top 2 on the passenger side. Okay, so we have all of our handle nuts installed on both sides, and just to let you know, I went ahead and removed each wire off of each handle nut as it was installed. It just gave me more room to work in here. These things can be a nightmare, but take your time and you will eventually get them all. Now, when it's all said and done, you can either bend these out of the way until they snap off, cut them, grind them, do whatever. I just got a pair of side cutters here. We'll go ahead and snip those off, just make sure that they're on the inside of the bumper. Now with the sides done, we can come to the front of the vehicle here. We're going to need to do the exact same thing at the front, and it's going to be on each side, driver and passenger side. So I'll just go ahead and mark it with the large bit first. So with our holes drilled out, we can go ahead and take our handle nut, slide it in behind the frame, and we can see it right there. Don't forget the red Loctite and the lock washer. We'll go ahead and finger tight these, and then we'll torque them to the specs in our installation manual. Now with these front ones torqued out, we'll go ahead and get the handle off of these. Fight me the whole way. There we go. So we went ahead and ran our safety cables from the front down here and then up, and you mainly just want to go around the frame, and on the passenger side over here you want to be careful about your air conditioning lines and also the drive belts for your accessories on the engine. So with everything looking good on this side, we'll go ahead and reattach our horn bracket and then the fog light and the front bumper wiring. So same thing with the safety cables on the driver's side. Again, just watch yourself around wiring and sharp points like that, but otherwise just attach it up to these loops that they have already for us in the base plate. This side looks good, so we'll go ahead and we'll reinstall our support bracket that we took off earlier. We went ahead and installed the bracket for our breakaway switch. It just involved drilling one hole into the bumper here and using the supplied hardware to attach it. So one thing to take note of is that the air temperature sensor was originally installed on the front bumper fascia. Now, since we put our base plate on, it's going to interfere with this bracket right here. So we went ahead and took the harness off of the bumper itself, and we just attached it to the base plate here. So you want your air temperature sensor facing forward so it gets cool air and not air from the radiator. Don't point it up, don't point it down, point it out towards the front of the road, and then the harness will simply run along the back side of the base plate here, and then we can just connect it up over here. Okay, so the next step is to go ahead and replace the front bumper up here so we know where to cut out on the lower grill here to be able to access our base plate. So go ahead and we'll just make some marks on here so we know roundabout where to cut. I'm just using a grease pencil in case I make a mistake. It rubs right off the plastic. Okay, so we have the front fascia loosely on right now, and this is what we ended up doing. We had to come in here and cut just enough to make sure that the whole front fascia here was able to go on without any issues. And like I said, back here you could see the temperature sensor that we had to attach to the base plate. Other than that, we have plenty of room for the safety cables to get on here, for the installation of the breakaway switch, the electric, and the arms. So this is going to work just fine for us. The only thing left to do right now is go ahead and just install everything, all the fasteners, back in the reverse order when we took them off. And that was a look at the Blue Ox base plate kit on the 2017 Chevrolet Sonic.